I really hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I have to do this. This video is designed to inform those of you who work armed security in California of the newest bills that are being passed right now as we speak. If you're chiming in from another state, I highly recommend that you watch this video all the way to the end, because what happens in California sometimes has a trickle-down, hand-me-down effect on your state. This is not good. This is horrible. Please press the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I'm always looking forward to the dialogue. I'm always looking forward to the comments. This video is going to most likely be demonetized. It's going to most likely be smashed all the way on the bottom of the Google, YouTube algorithm because of what I'm about to say. So please do me a huge favor. Just make any type of comment that you can. Share this video with as many people as you can, especially those who work armed security. Please do so. If you work armed security in California, if Assembly Bill 28 passes, you are going to pay an 11% increase of taxes on a firearm, ammunition, or a precursor part. It's not 1%, it's not 2%, it's 11%. If you are also in California and you work armed security, if Assembly Bill 1244 passes, you will pay about $8 every other year more for your firearm permit and about $4 more on your guard card every single year. Baton permit is also going to go up, and by the way, you have to renew your baton permit. You're gonna have to pay a renewal fee for that. All in all, there's gonna be an increase in fees. And you wanna know what really gets me mad? Is that armed security is gonna have 11% increase. They're gonna have to pay more every single other year when they renew all their permits. But the qualified manager, which is the person who is supposed to run the day-to-day operations of the security business, there's no license fee for them. It's almost like they're taxing the poor to give the rich an incentive. That's just what it seems like. Some of you might be wondering, Sean, what happened here? And I'll lay it down to you right now. Let me get my notes. So, in the year, there was a study that the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, they did a study and they found that there's a sharp increase in firearm-related deaths from 2019 to 2020. And a lot of these deaths included minors, juveniles. They call them children. Anybody under the age of 18 is considered a children. And they're painting this horrible picture. So 2019 and 2020, compare that to previous years, there's a 13.5% increase in firearm-related deaths. The Democrat from Burbank, California, Anthony Portantino, is the author of this bill, and he states the following: gun violence is the leading cause of death for kids in the United States. Ending that should be bipartisan, which means both parties, Republican and Democrat. We should stand on the right side of history. Okay, that's what Anthony Portantino, a Democrat from Burbank, says. He's the one that authored this bill. And it is true that gun violence is a leading cause of death for kids in the United States, but he fails to cite the correct statistics, and he fails to point out that that's 2019 to 2020. How about all of the other years? And what he also fails to mention, that there's other leading causes of death for children. So for children aged 1 to 4, the leading cause of death is as follows: accidents, congenital malformations, deformations, and chromosomal abnormalities. Probably not even pronouncing that right. Assault. This is for children ages 1 to 4. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, in a 21-year career, give me a minute. Every dead child that I've picked up passed away because of the negligence of their parent, not because of a firearm-related death. I say this with experience. I'm not your politician that sits behind a desk and just grabs little bits and pieces of statistics for my personal advantage. I'm out there, I'm the boot on the floor, working out there in the heat oftentimes, and I see these horrible things with my own eyes. Children age 5 to 9. Accidents, cancer, and assault. You want to know who the suspects are usually? It's parents. Parents are the leading cause of deaths for children. One of them. Children ages 10 to 14. Accidents. Okay, now listen carefully. Intentional self-harm, which is suicide, and cancer. Okay, ages 10 to 14. What the author of the bill fails to mention is that we had the lockdowns, the COVID restrictions in the year 2020. Children were cooped up in the house. And when you're cooped up in the house, there's most likely a lack of mental health services. A lot of these children who took their own life, sadly, couldn't get any help because of the lockdowns, because of the inability of these behavioral health facilities unable to come out to their house of these kids that definitely needed them the most in their life. Just imagine that you go to school sometimes to relieve stress, you talk to friends, you talk to teachers, and you de-stress a lot of the times. And then there's counselors, there's everybody that you could talk to that could possibly help out your situations. And all of a sudden, you're not allowed to go to school for like almost 2 years because of COVID. Okay, what do you think is going to happen? A lot of these kids get driven to depression. They get suicidal ideations. And when their parents are gone, okay, sometimes they have access to firearms. Give me a minute, guys. My former coworkers, she works private security, former law enforcement. Her son was among this age bracket of 14, and he took his life with her firearm. Mom was going to work, or mom was actually at work, about to get off. I know these studies. I'm out there living them in real life time. The 2 previous years for this child who took his life, I could almost bet that the services weren't even available, because that puts us back in those COVID years. Okay, it's a process. You can't expect to go to a counselor for one day and then feel a lot better. This is the whole process, guys. The whole lockdowns, those were democratic policies. And for firearm-related deaths, let me tell you what the year 2020 was about. As a law enforcement officer, I would try to book some horrible people, terrible people, committed crimes like home invasion. Some of these people would assault police, and the watch commander at the sheriff's office would say, well, we understand that a couple of your officers were injured or hit, but it's not a crime that will allow us to accept custody of that person. So you're going to have to give them an OR, which is a release, or just release them pending charges. So we would literally release a lot of these people in the street. You're talking about people who got involved in high-speed pursuits, felons, high-speed pursuits that were armed. They were not bookable. So what you end up having was massive drug dealing going on, massive drug ripoffs in the streets all over the United States, and there was just mayhem. And unfortunately, some of these kids, well, actually a lot of these kids are involved in gang violence. Okay, what else are you going to do when you're locked up? I'm not saying that that's what happens with the kids who are locked up inside of the house. I'm just saying that to some of these kids, gang violence is exciting to them. I work in a community where a lot of hardworking families exist. It's one of those bedroom communities where a lot of times, after 8, 9 o'clock, people are starting to go to sleep. It's a really good community, and it's not a violent place where I work. But those years, 2020, 2021, especially 2020, I have never seen violence exist in such a way that it existed. Crime was out of control. You could book, if you're a law enforcement officer during that time period, you can book nobody. And that's a Democratic policy. It's a Democratic failure. There was just nonstop stabbings, shootings, kidnappings, you name it. Just mayhem city. So what Democrats want to do right now is they want to play the scapegoat game. Well, the reason why we had an increase in violence is because there's too many guns out there. Therefore, we need to restrict guns and ammunition. Okay, that's their band-aid solution. And what they're doing is they're taxing responsible gun owners. Responsible ones. And let me show you something that's not fair. So armed security gets 11% tax. Now, I'm saying armed security because you guys are the ones that buy more ammunition than others for training, for qualification purposes. Okay, you get 11% tax. There's an exemption in that bill. And that exemption is for somebody like me who is a sworn off-duty law enforcement officer. I don't have to pay 11% tax. Is that fair? Hell to the no. That is not fair. I am in a better position than a lot of other armed professionals, meaning armed security. My pay is great. Base salary, at least on paper, I mean, this is not what I bring home. It's like $92,000 a year. And I live in a rural area where housing is pretty affordable. I can afford 11% tax, but that is not fair, you guys. That's not fair that you guys in California, armed security, have to pay 11% tax. There's no exemption for you. What I'm saying is they don't care about you guys. They don't care about the people. And why am I even having the discussion? I swore to defend the United States Constitution against enemies, domestic and foreign. And I will continue to do that until the day that I die. The day that I'm not even a law enforcement officer anymore. And this channel is a way that I can accomplish that goal. It's right now one of the best ways that I can help defend the Constitution. But you guys got to go out there and take action. Voting Donald Trump into office is not going to restore your Second Amendment. It's not going to get rid of this 11% tax. But what I will say is that voting out these people that vote for these laws will help restore your Second Amendment. You got to start at the local level and then go all the way up. By local, I mean the city council, the board of supervisors, and then work your way up to the assembly level, and then the state senator level, and then the U.S. senator level, and then the U.S. House of Representative level, and then keep going up from there. And then it also goes with the judges. But guys and gals, please, when in doubt, do not vote Democrat. You vote Democrat, you're voting for this craziness out there. That doesn't make any sense. And this This 11%, by the way, okay, the way that they justify it is it's going to go towards safety programs. I'll tell you what it's going to go. So it's going to generate a lot of money, allegedly. So if it gets signed into law, $75 million is going to go to city and community-based gun violence prevention programs, $50 million for school safety, and also adds $1 million in new funding for law enforcement to remove firearms for those convicted of domestic violence or who have restraining orders against them. There's also a small amount for counseling and trauma services for victims of mass shooting and gun violence. So who's paying for this? You, as an armed security professional. I'm not paying for it because there's an exemption for police officers. They are not going to, this money is not going to be used in the right ways. In California, we pay what's called draws fees whenever you buy a firearm. There's like $1 that goes to a gun safety research center, and then like another $5 that goes towards another safety program, or I believe research. Okay, so there's like $6 that already goes to these programs. I think UC Davis has like a gun violence research center. Has gun violence went down ever since UC Davis got more funding for their gun research center? No, it has not. California does not use these funds appropriately. What they need to do is enforce the laws that are already in the books. Okay, if the laws say that for an ADW, which is assault with deadly weapon in California, that could be California Penal Code 245. If the mandatory sentence is 5 years in state prison, that's how much time they should be doing. Okay, none of this discretion time. We need to enforce what's already in the books. Let's stop giving breaks, because the Democratic policy, guys and gals, is to let people out of jail. That's the whole reason for this violence out there, this gun violence, is because of Democratic policies into place. The majority of the Democratic policies out there free people from jail and prison. I mean, there's a lot of people that were being let out of Pelican Bay or Corcoran in Northern California because of the whole COVID-19 issues. They were being let out. I mean, these are maximum facilities here. How are you guys going to pay for this? This 11% increase. I could pay for it. My wages are good wages, but I don't think it's fair for you guys. So the question is, well, Sean, what can I do? Okay, so Assembly Bill 28, it's on its way. It's the House, the Assembly already approved it. And I also believe that Assembly Bill 1244, which will require you to pay more fees to BSIS if BSIS request it. Both of those bills are on the way to Governor Newsom in California's office. I believe that on September 31st, he starts signing them, and I think the last day is like August 1st or 2nd. I'm not positive, but that's usually when the governor starts signing the bills. I believe he's going to sign both of these bills. What you could do is go to the description box once I post this link and send a message. You're going to spend the same amount of time commenting to somebody on Facebook or on Instagram. You just go there, put your information in, put Governor Newsom, please veto Assembly Bill 1244. And here's the reasoning. Just enter whatever reason it is. Just keep it short and simple so that he reads it. But your first sentences should be that you suggest that he veto it. Then take a minute off of your time, go back, as a title, put Assembly Bill 28. Governor Newsom, please veto Assembly Bill 28 when it comes to you. and give your reasoning. Guys and gals, Assembly Bill 28 discriminates against the poor, those who live humble means, and here's why. Okay, the female victim of domestic violence who's fleeing for her life, you think she's going to be able to afford a firearm and ammunition with 11%? I mean, maybe. I mean, you can get a Glock for, I don't know, $500, get some quality ammunition, $50, so in total $500, $600, plus this tax, which is additional. It's like $50, $55 plus the draws fees. I mean, this is just insane. This is a tax that discriminates against poor people. Those who are wealthy can easily pay the 11% tax, or those of you who are decently well off. My salary is great. Being in law enforcement, I can afford the 11% tax. But the way the law is written, I'm not taxed, and that's not fair. It's totally not fair. Anyhow, please share this video with as many armed security professionals as possible, and please encourage them to encourage Governor Newsom to veto the bill. Give me a couple days, or like 1 or 2 days, so I can post the link. If you go to the description box and it's empty, then just type in on Google how to contact Governor Gavin Newsom in California, and then like the first page, you're guided to the different links. You just click on the link, put in the subject matter, and then you could literally do this like in 2-3 minutes. It's fast. If you did that, please in the comment section box below, just put emailed Governor Newsom. Okay. All right, that's all I got, guys. I mean, I'm sorry if I got a little bit emotional about this. I'm really passionate about the Second Amendment. I'm really passionate about the oath that I took to defend the U.S. Constitution against domestic and foreign enemies. And I believe that this is an infringement. I believe that tyranny is at its finest right now. It's sickening. 2019 was not COVID season yet, but that was a season when a lot of democratic policies were just being pushed through. I mean, you're talking about the last 8 years, a lot of these policies were being pushed through, even when Donald Trump was the president. This is bad. 11%. I mean, come on. At least a reasonable amount. Okay, guys, I'm out. Let me hear your comments and let's talk.